Alrighty, welcome to a Wednesday. It's warming up. That's the trend. The next couple of days, right into the Bay Area weekend, we've been mild, right? Sacramento and Central Valley has had temperatures lower than you might expect for this time of year. Temperatures in the Bay Area have been warm to pleasant, but now we're going to elevate. Starting on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, it's going to kind of run, and we're going to be more typical for summer for this time of year. Kind of this, like I said the other day, the summers you remember as a kid where you go into Vacaville and it's 97, 98 degrees. You go a little further west into Berkeley and it's 80, 78 degrees, 80 degrees. So we're going to have the microclimates are going to set up. We've got some smoke to talk about in the northern part of the state, up around Oregon and Northern California, the green fire specifically. We'll start off with that. And then we'll move into the forecast right away. And then after the forecast, we'll look at some wildlife pictures and talk about some interesting stuff about Mono Lake. You probably know a lot about it. I used to know a lot more about it when I was a kid. We studied it a lot when I was at Berkeley in 1981, 82. We were out there doing geologic stuff because it's one of the oldest lakes in North America. It's 760,000 years old. So we'll talk about that. So this is smoke from the green fire. We're looking sort of towards the south. I want you to see how the smoke does a couple things. First of all, fires in the morning, they sink, right? Because of the cold air, right? The air sinks, the smoke, the fires calm down, fires have trouble breathing. And as the day goes on, the air starts to rise as it warms, and it starts to increase the space that the fire can grow into, and so the fire breathes. And you're going to see that. You're going to see the fire come up, and then you're going to see the fire smoke start to increase. So let's see. I'm not a fire weather guy, but I do understand this much. So there's sinking in the morning, and then watch what happens right here. Right there it is. Then it starts to grow right there. Right there, and it kind of lifts up. You'll see it's starting to lift up and come up. So that's the fire breathing, and then it sets down again. So air quality in the area of the green fire, not good, less than good. We'll start off locally. We'll go back up to the fire zone and check that out. Here is the Mount Tamalpais area. This is the camera I show you all the time because this time of year it's very informative in terms of the depth of the marine layer. The depth of the marine layer impacts everything in the central part of the state. Far northern, not so much. Far southern, not so much. But the central part of the state, and then along the coastal sections, obviously. Marine layer right now, this morning, we'll look at it, was pretty deep. We've got up over 2,000 feet deep. Marine layers looks like it's getting squished down a little bit. This is this morning, Mount Tam, 2,500 feet. Yeah, looks like it's about 2,000 feet, right? I mean, I'm just eyeballing it. This is this morning. And then you'll see those last few frames, it kind of burns back off of Mount Tam. Now I'm going to show you the same picture tomorrow morning, and you can guess what it's going to look like. Fog's going to be most likely behind the hills. Look at that, how much clearing. Stetson Beach is already cleared out, sort of indicating that warm-up, right? Because high pressure is starting to dominate, so you are probably seeing some little bit of a north wind, which is beginning to develop and which will develop tonight and tomorrow. And that's why we're warming. So here is the profiler. Here is yesterday, up over 2,500 feet. Kind of shrunk down a little bit last night and then lifted up. And right here, this line right here is about 1,800, 2,000 feet. And tomorrow morning, I suspect it'd be around 1,700 feet, be a little less. And then the next morning, a little less and a little less. And each one of those little lesses means a little warmer each day as we go into the weekend, especially in the Inland Bay valleys. You can see the smoke from the fires. Here it is, the green fire. And you can see the smoke from the Southern Oregon fires and the Trinity Alps fires. This map is incredibly useful. Why? Because you can see, well, there's fog in the Salinas Valley, but it's clearing off. I can tell you right now, as of lunchtime today on Wednesday, that Santa Cruz is going to clear out for the most part. There'll be a little fog at the tip of Monterey Bay, but I think Monterey will have sunshine today. Stetson Beach already clearing out. Clear along the coast up around Point Arena, Cape Mendocino, and then Southern California. The June gloom is June gone, which is awesome. You've got some really nice weather down there. And then big heat in the desert Southwest. It's going to continue. There are red flag warnings throughout parts of Nevada, Oregon, far northern California, and Southern California areas. So we'll look at those. Here's a quick look at the still picture. This is from this morning as well. Visible satellite, probably your best I say it all the time, it's probably our best tool. So the linchpin in our forecast tends to be this low. Here's the high, here's the low. This is the GFS verticity model. And what you're going to see that red area, right? That's what's left of that little trough. And as it leaves, which it is, that high builds in. And that's going to be the creation, or that's going to be the main mechanism for the winds that are going to start coming out of the north, which is going to warm up the Central Valley. It'll increase the fire danger. Not seeing fire, maybe a fire weather watch at some point. We'll see. Maybe an air quality watch. But that little low, remember where it was the other day? It had set up shop here right all through the 4th of July holiday, this area. And now it is migrating off. And when it does, this high, and the Pacific high too, both of these highs want to merge. And in fact, they're trying to do that. So it warms up the next couple of days. As we go into the Saturday, Sunday, though, there's a little bit of vorticity, just a little bit of disturbance over us, which that's going to be enough to kind of squish down the ridge. See how it kind of keeps breaking it up? So what does it mean? And then it cools off. The big cool down comes on Saturday, July 19th. That's the following weekend. But this week and weekend, we are going to be warming up, but not incredibly, not biblical heat. Not biblical heat, like 101 in Sacramento, 104 in Redding. If this verifies. If things change, if those yellows and greens kind of get out of the picture and that little trough there doesn't make that happen, temperatures will warm more significantly as the ridge gets higher. So it's warmer, but it's not that warm. We're like, okay, get ready for the heat warnings. I don't suspect we're going to see those, but it is going to get warmer starting Thursday throughout the state, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it's going to hover in the valley. And you'll see the forecast right here. This is the NAM, North American Model forecast highs. So here we are, and you see this is this afternoon, Wednesday afternoon. So today's a lot like yesterday. See where the purples are? They're where they belong in the Central Valley. Even Redding's a little cooler. That's that low sliding through, keeping temperatures moderate, manageable. But then watch what happens on Thursday. So this is the overnight, and then here we are into Thursday afternoon. And there's the Central Valley footprint, right? And there's the heat. Now you still have some cooling along the coast. You still have a little bit of a westerly flow in the wind. That'll allow the fog to kind of exist. It'll allow the immediate coastal sections to be cool or mild. But the Bay Valleys and the inland Bay Valleys are going to start to cook, which is very classic summertime. Air quality will take a hit because there'll be a cap on the inversion. This is, again, Thursday afternoon. Let's take a look at Friday afternoon. It's going to look the same, I suspect, right? So we'll go through the morning. And one thing to note, by the way, see how warm it stays? This is, 7 o'clock Friday or 6 o'clock Friday morning, something like that. This is a lot of heat at 7 in the morning, 60s and 70s. And one of the things that I learned about, what I do know about fire and what I've learned, they did some studies on this, and overnight temperature is huge in terms of next day fires, which, duh. But if the temperatures, especially in the coastal regions of California and the Sacramento Valley, if the temperatures don't have a chance to come down and you start the day at, in this case, 73 degrees in Red Bluff, you wake up and it's 73 degrees in Red Bluff, you got nowhere to go but up. And the fire danger is increased accordingly. So when I see warm overnight lows like this, because of those north winds, I worry about fire in the morning. And so this is 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and you're into 100 degrees before 2 o'clock. And then this is the afternoon on Friday. So that's the look. That's the look. That's classic summer. And then look at the big heat in the desert Southwest, Southern California as well. Down here, you can see the activity down towards Palm Springs, Palm Desert, Las Vegas. And then we do it again. And you can see right here, this is Saturday afternoon. So it keeps coming. Now you see a little more of a sea breeze here. It's subtle, but a little more sea breeze. So that's that system, those disturbances kind of squishing the high a little bit. So it's not, when you see this, it's subtle, but when you see this bite like this in the model, you go, oh, okay, there's a little sea breeze, right? And you see how it's pushing the heat back into the valley. I'm just pointing that out to say that, listen, it's going to get hot, but it doesn't look like it's going to get extremely, day after day after day, buck 10, buck 13. We'll see that. We have seen it, but this isn't that. This does not appear to be that weak. It's going to be hot, or very warm to hot. It's all relative and subjective depending on what you expect this time of year. This is the temperature for today: 96 in Redding, 93 in Sacramento. Kind of indicative of what we've been seeing this week and over the 4th of July. And it's been quite pleasant. Big heat in the desert Southwest, 117 down towards Needles, buck 9 in Vegas. Geez, God, look at that, 118 in Yuma. Yeah, wow. Geez. Phoenix, 116, 118. Wow. I couldn't handle it. That's a lot of heat. These are the forecast highs for tomorrow. And you see that our Central Valley come up. Desert Southwest stays hot, but the main thing we see are these hundreds popping up. Chico, 102 in Sacramento, and it's warm, but it's not out of control. San Francisco, 70, right? That shows you there's a sea breeze, but not a lot. San Francisco, Sacramento, this time of year, I'd expect upper 60s. And so there you go. That's tomorrow. And that's how it looks again on, that's Friday, Saturday, I think both days look like this. And then Sunday will be a little bit cooler. Here is the national fire map, or the WatchDuty.org, green fire, and it's zero containment, a lot of smoke. This is up it's kind of an interesting spot. I was checking it out. It's right between the Pitt River and the McCloud. So I know this area well because I fish up in here a lot. And this area is really difficult to get to, so terrain in this area making it very, very difficult for firefighters to do what they need to do. And you can see that in the PurpleAir air quality. You can see that, that's bad air quality. That's Trinity Alps. This is our fire zone here outside of Redding. And the pictures, we look at some live pictures. And if you ever wonder what 213 parts per million look like, or 153, there's a lot of smoke. It did drain down into Redding this morning, but not as bad as the other morning. It's still not contained, over 3,000 acres. And the concern is going to be, and this is the air quality right now, the concern is going to be, that's the fire, is going to be the next couple of days as it really heats up. It's hard on fire crews. There's not a lot of wind, but there's some north wind. It's a lot of smoke, a lot of fire. And look at the topography. The topography is brutal. So that's what, when you're looking at PurpleAir air quality, right there, that's kind of what it looks like in terms of reds and purples, the warning colors. The other thing I would say is there's so much smoke in this area and in Southern Oregon that in the mornings, if you're in Mount Shasta or Weed or Redding or Cottonwood, that smoke's going to settle straight down. And the air quality in the evenings and the mornings is at its worst. So maybe just go light on the strenuous activities. Here's the fire. I was looking from another point. We're looking from the south this time, and you can see the smoke from it. I think you can see the smoke filling into the valleys too. Yeah, so that's kind of out towards Bernie, I think. I think we're looking towards Bernie. You can't really see it. This morning there was a lot of smoke, but look at there's Mount Shasta, no, that's Lassen. Sorry, that's Lassen there. But you can see the smoke. You can see all the smoke in the valley, and that's all that it breathes, right? So at night and in the mornings, it just goes, stomps down. In the afternoon, the air lifts and the air can get in and feed the fire. So this afternoon, it'll be interesting to see what happens and what kind of control they get. Cal Fire, like I said, they're awesome, and on a fire like that, because of their air support and the amount of resources they're putting on it, they'll probably get some containment on it, but they're going to it's just hard to fight fires when it's 102 degrees. Here is the smoke forecast for Northern California. Again, this is impacting most of my friends, even out towards Fortuna. You guys are getting into it a little bit. And then the smoke sort of settles down. This is by this evening, right? There's a lot of smoke. It's not that high, especially when you're down here, the darker oranges. When you're down on the ground in Red Bluff, Redding, even Chico might see a little bit of smoke from this fire. And you see it kind of go overnight, settles out, so it goes down the drainage, and then it flares out the next day. This is on Friday afternoon. So we'll keep an eye on it. And then this is the national map. This is all, let me take a hit on this bad boy. God, I've been going. Sorry. fire thing is kind of fun. Like this thing I talked about yesterday is when you can see, oh look, the fire's breathing. Oh look, the air quality is this. Oh, that verifies with this picture. You know what I mean? You go back and forth like that. You look at what you can see, a visual, or you look at what you have, a forecast model, and you see how they sync up. And that's kind of what we're doing here. That's kind of what I do every morning. It is what I do every morning. The only thing I don't do every morning is I don't put in supers, and I put that in just to be helpful. I'd be nice to just go through this thing once and just air it, but I kind of like to clean it up a little bit because here's what I think. I think it's one thing to go raw dog on the data and show you all how the sausage is made, but it's nice to package it just a little bit so it's more comfortable for you. I've been looking at this stuff for thousands of years, so I'm like, my eyes just go right to it. But you're like, whoa, where's that? It's trying to find the Bay Area, trying to find Los Angeles on the maps. I know it sounds simple, but it's sometimes it's not if you don't look at it all the time. So I like to package it a little bit. I don't know how I got off on that tangent. Anyway, well, I did. Here is the red flag warning, and a lot of them, right? These are heat warnings down here in the desert Southwest that go on for a few days. And again, 117 in Phoenix. Can you imagine? Like, I grew up in the Central Valley, kind of. We'd go down to Chico and it'd be 120 or whatever. But, and it's unbearable heat. And in midnight, it would be down to like 90 degrees. But in Phoenix, a daytime high of $117, your overnight lows are in the 80s, right? So really, really hot. These are red flag warnings. Nevada, Oregon, kind of almost picks up Northern California, Washington, Cascades, Idaho, Montana. Wow. Just lots of, and these red flag warnings, as you know, are going to lead to probably some fire starts just because fuel moistures get so dry. So based on what we looked at, yes, we will be above normal. This is a 6 to 10 day outlook. And I like to do this because it verifies what we just did. We looked at the long range model. The long range model said, yeah, it's going to stay warm for a while. So yeah, above average temperatures because that ridge is in our area. Not crazy above average because we have those little tweaks that come through. Not up in the Pacific Northwest. They're going to stay crazy above average 6 to 10 days, especially Seattle and Portland. For us, we're going to be a little above average, and then the Northeast above average. And again, it's a broad brush. And then the rainfall, when I look at this for us, I go, okay, monsoonal moisture, not really much of a thing except for the far southern parts of California and southeastern parts or southwestern parts of Arizona. Okay, yeah, we're getting it done. And then Pacifica. First wave I ever got here. First time I ever stood up on a surfboard, 1978, 79. Yeah, that was awesome. But it's a great place to learn. The little south winds, you can see Pacifica does well on the south wind because of the way it faces. And you can see the sun coming out up towards Marin County. This is more, you're looking at, the Mount Tam would be here, and then this is up towards more like Stinson Beach probably, Bolinas area up in here. But a beautiful day. And just fun. It's nice to see people. You know, the thing about awesome about surfing is that it's one of those sports where you don't leave a mark really. Like after the wave goes, there's like when you ski, you leave a track, or when you do a lot of things, you leave evidence that it happened. Here, it's just it's just natural energy coming at you. You play in it or do whatever you try to get a wave in it, and then you go do it again, and it just keeps coming. And you know, no harm, no foul. I'm gonna watch Dad here push this kid in. Because it's kind of gnarly because it's kind of closed out. Yeah. We can't sit and watch the whole thing, can we? Not much of this guy. Yeah. You never know. Okay, we're not going to. This is Cardiff down in San Diego. Beautiful day. We showed you the visible satellite. It's clear down there. Cardiff right now is 2 to 4 foot. And it's going to be a little smaller next couple of days. Swell's dropping off a little in Southern California, but a little bit of a wind. And that's why the water's textured up. This is Mount Shasta. You can see some of the smoke in the atmosphere just by the color. Let's see if we see any of that smoke this morning. You can see a little smoke. See how it's kind of dinging up the top part of the mountain? Yeah. Interesting. Just a little moisture in the atmosphere. And then we go to Mono Lake. Oh, I got Mono Lake stuff. Okay, so if you're hanging in, listen. Yeah, if you're hanging in, which I respect, because this last part of this, the first part is for you. The last part is for you, but it's kind of for me. The last part being the live pictures, kind of looking at the We're kind of looking at the fire even, because you just want the forecast. So that's what we did up top. On the back end, we do stuff like this, where we go to Alert, California, and look at the awesome cameras. Mono Lake, one of the oldest lakes in North America, 760,000 years old. And so still some snow in the mountains around. It's beautiful. And the tufa mounds, which are where fresh water meet the alkaline in the soil, and it creates these large tufa mounds, which I believe can be 30, 40, 50 feet tall. And they create these, they're like statues. They look like old Greek statues. You can probably Google that. I could probably try to find a picture if I wasn't lazy, but I love this shot of the lake. And the lake gets windy. The island out here, one time my wife and I and my dog Casey paddled kayaks out here and just pulled up into this cove and just camped for the night. It's awesome. And nobody, empty place. Mono Lake, one of the oldest lakes in North America. It's a huge habitat for migratory birds in the spring and the fall. Over 1 million birds visit this and kind of need this landscape, to lay eggs and to mate and so on and so forth. So it's a really important waterfowl bird kind of an, habitat. 2.5 times the salinity of the ocean, so more saline. And the tufa is calcium carbonate, which is when fresh water meets alkaline. Yeah, interesting. Isn't it beautiful? Let's see if we can go this way a little bit. That's going down towards Bishop. I love the land. The California landscape's awesome. When you get into California and you start getting into these places, it's not like the California many of us think. It's like, I remember the first time I ever saw the Eastern Sierra, and I was like, holy smokes, this is California? Because we were centric west side of the Sierra Nevada, which is, I think, a lot of people are. This is the live jellyfish camera, just because this is Monterey Bay Aquarium, just because it's awesome. I did a fun thing yesterday. I went to Santa Cruz. I surfed in Santa Cruz. It was okay, it's small, but you got to get in the water when you're down there. Saw Dad, 98. He's winding down. He's kind of in sort of hospice, and he's very pleasant and sweet and not in any pain, but he's kind of 98 years old, almost 99. You can see, like, we were sitting at the pier yesterday having a couple beers, and actually he gets a half a beer, and I get a whole beer. But we sit on the pier and watch things, and he just kind of, sometimes he'd stop breathing. And I was kind of like, yeah, if he passed right now, it'd be a freaking beautiful thing. I mean that in a nice way, but you know what I mean? Like, because he's so involved in nature. That's kind of Dad's thing. So anyway, I'll put a picture in here of him. He's awesome. And again, if you're still here, I would like to know if you are. So hit the like button if you're still here. You could leave a comment if you wanted, but comment would make more sense, because then I could know you're here. Only because I'm just curious if my musings, because it got to be annoying, right? I mean, my wife she's heard this shit a million times. It's like, but it's just me thinking. And it's me thinking about a place I love. Even though this is not California, we do have good salmon runs. This is Brooks River waterfall. And I just love that. I mean, look at the fish. And look at the energy. That's life. That's life. That's them going to reproduce, get upstream. The bears come in here from time to time. Let's find a bear. I know it's not, this is sort of cheating, I think, but let's see if I can find a bear. There's one bear that was hanging out here yesterday. They apparently, okay, this is bad. If you're still hanging in, you're awesome. Yeah, I'm not going to find a bear today. Okay, no bears. But look at the fish. It just keeps coming. Okay, and then the puffins. This is the puffin cam. I think this is live. So I think somebody found a nest. Let's see if I can do this. Oh, yeah, look at that. Yeah. Okay, no puffins now. All right, so we covered a lot. We talked about Mono Lake. We talked about the green fire. Talked about it getting hotter next couple of days. If you are hanging in and you are not annoyed by musings, let me know. Tell a friend. And I think we learned something today, didn't we? I think we did. I think we learned a couple of things. But I think the main thing, the point was visually seeing how that fire was breathing, right? It's like exhale. And then blah, 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 the day goes on, inhale. So when it lifts, it brings in oxygen, and the oxygen comes in, and feeds the fire, and the fire grows. So I thought that was kind of cool. We actually saw that in real time. Okay, I'll see you back here tomorrow.